So today I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the process of why I have been required to reincarnate. To clarify a situation, most people think of Jesus as just a process as a Christian reality. Reality to Methodists and Baptists and Catholics and Lutherans and all the people who say they believe in Jesus Christ. And that is a reality. People believe, people follow, people become disciples in a way. But they're much lower in their definition as a disciple. There are very, very high degrees of discipleship in the reality of initiation and growth to become a disciple. All right, so the relationship everybody has with Jesus is a relationship that's based on emotions. I need to be saved. Save my ass. Save me. Save me from the devil. Save me from hell. Save me from going to hell. Save me from my horrible nemesis in my life that I don't know why it's there. Why all the people I meet hate me. What is it about me? I need to change. How am I going to do this? Who do I go through? Is it my mom, my dad, my uncle, my cousin? So I came, and I explained to people that were some of the most fanatical people on the planet, that were leading this planet to a world disaster. A Jewish group. Showed up in Israel. Well, I also show up in a lot of places, but I showed up in Israel. I showed up in Israel in order to stop the Antichrist 2,000 years later. And it's all about that religious dogma, fanaticism found in Muslims and Jews and Catholics and all the things you call religion. They're going to lead you to a nuclear war, and you're going to take your devotion with the Antichrist, not with Christ. That's what you were led to. And it happened. It happened. You don't know the history of it. Go back to the 1800s and study the Jewish relationship. And I'm not saying Jews are bad. They are not bad. They are humans. But they're led by Lucifer. And that's a real problem. And it's not that every Jew is led by Lucifer. We're all led by Lucifer. Everybody's led by Lucifer. Just take it in. It's just what it is. But you need to battle this situation. And the reason for Jesus the Christ is to be your control group, a point of reference for normality, for humanity. So when I came, I grabbed 12 fishermen, common guys. Hey, come on, you could do this better. You can be a better person. You can have a better life. You could do better for people. You want to do for your family? I can help you do better for your whole world rather than just a family. I can make you a better person, for not now, but for the future. Just hang out with me. I'll explain this to you. So you got your Bible and you got all that you've read about what I did with these 12 disciples. And how every single one of them had a problem. They weren't there wishing to be a disciple. They weren't there thinking, oh, this guy's like, super enlightened and everything, because they were thinking dogs were messiahs. They were thinking jackasses were messiahs. They were thinking snakes were messiahs. They were thinking, because everybody was a medium, a psychic. And they were hearing shit from dogs and cats and horses and mediums who were channeling through people. And they had no control over themselves because you're working through your emotions. That's where you're at. You're working through your emotions. You're the human race, and you're working through your emotions. And when you're still working through your emotions, and it takes a long time. Look, we don't have dinosaurs anymore. We have human beings. We have dinosaurs that are in the form of birds. Tweety birds. Chickens. We eat dinosaurs every day, and we love it. Everything is moved in the way it's meant to be, and we're all going in this way. And all the animals were in their way, and all the plants were in their way. And there were giants on earth. Yeah? And there were fallen angels in the midst of all that. And you could read this in the Bible. They were real. And it was a horrible time. The dinosaurs were eating you and pooping on you, killing you, making your life miserable. And if they weren't getting you, the giants were. And the giants were recruiting you to make sure that you sacrificed your children for them, because that was your first God. Your first relationship to God was these giants. And you believed them. And they became your lunar lords. They became your kings. Your kings and your queens. The giants. Yeah? And they ruled over the land. They ruled England. They ruled Turkey. They ruled America. They ruled everywhere. Yeah? They're just not here right now. Yeah? But it's in the Bible. It tells you about it. It tells you about David and his relationship to a giant. And you go back further, it'll tell you that there were other giants. And all evil was based on the fall of these evil fallen angels that had a relationship with humanity and created human beings who believed that they were meant to be gods. And that's the mind of a fallen angel, and that will screw up your emotional body. Even the smallest increment of thinking, oh, maybe I'm God. Yeah? Even the smallest increment of that glamour is enough to destroy your whole entire life purpose. Yeah? Your simplicity of being able to treat your child correctly without being a dictator. When you think you're a God, you think you should be a dictator because you're emotional. You're a control person, a control freak. Yeah? And look at all, who made the king the king? Who made the king the king? What person, what God came down and said, oh, okay, king, queen, here you are, king. England, you got a king, what? Anointed by God itself. Yeah. Now, pay attention, because they own all your land, and they're totally all right for them to colonize, take over Africa and India. And then we wonder, why is China trying to take over and colonize Taiwan and other places? Yeah, it's just a following of the emotions. You're a bully. You're emotional. You're more aggressive than other people. You think you got a king, and therefore you got a bigger stick. You know, you have a relationship with God. And what you say is what God says. And you can go to Arabia and you'll meet these idiot-ass gods. And they're kings. And they're ruling your world. They're lying to you. They're all liars. The Queen of England is the biggest liar you'll ever meet. But she's not intentionally being a liar. She's just a lie. A physically incarnated lie. A glamour. Like Disneyland. It's a lie. It's not real. Yeah? What's really real is a child that just got born and needs a family. And they need to be born in a family that wants it. Even if it's an accident. Even if it's rape. Even if it's your own father. That kid is still its own incarnation. It's not your child. It's not. And that's where I come in. I'm responsible for reincarnation. I am responsible for the tree of life. For your life. All of it. Your past lives is what it is. Yeah? But your future lives are dependent upon Jesus the Christ. 100%. If you don't get it together now, you're going to get it together later. Yeah? And how are you going to do that? Yeah? Oh, you're going to join a religion? No, you're going to become an ecologist. An ecologist. How stupid is that? As we all know, our great last president believes ecology is a lie. Why, windmills, they give you cancer. Yeah? There's no good out of a windmill. Well, Satan would tell you that with a smile on their face. And then they'd ask you to vote for them. Yeah? Because Satan created politics. Satan created your beautiful kings and queens, and your politicians, and your rock stars, and your movie stars. All the people you think are gods, demigods, lords, you know? Look at the Kardashians. Do you think of them as humans? Nah, not really. Because you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. You're mentally ill. And you're not well enough to know you're mentally ill. And it's okay. Because I'm Jesus the Christ, and I am the best doctor that's ever been on this planet. I'm not going to just save you from the devil. I'm going to walk you through earth and show you exactly how you live, how you treat animals. And every baby has a right to live. Every baby. Every baby. Yeah? This isn't a rationality. This isn't, oh, let's talk about it. Nope. There are laws. We do not carry guns. There is no such thing as a gun, a weapon. You use your arms, your hands, your feet, and you run fast and faster. And you train every day with weights. And you walk and you exercise and you make sure you're ready to run. Don't think about a gun. Don't think about a weapon. Don't think about defending yourself against lawless neighbors Canada will come and take us over. Or Mexico, the immigrants from below are going to come and take us over. We got to have our machine guns. Yeah. You do not need a gun at all. Not one gun. I don't care where your rationale's at. You don't need a gun. And you don't need a knife. And you don't need a sword. You need me. You need Jesus. You need to calm down. You need to not be so emotional. Because your emotions are becoming the collective embodiment of your group. And you're going to kill yourself. You're in the process of doing suicide right now in your daily life. The food you eat, the way you think, your emotions, causing you cancer, every disease, including aging. Aging is a freaking disease. And you're so unhealthy in your mental clarity to know that. Because it's all about lies. The doctors will lie to you, and they don't mean to. They're ignorant. And ignorance is filled with lies. And you can get real pissed off for this kind of stuff, but don't. Because nobody is in reality lying. It's Lucifer. It's glamours. It's ignorance. It's about dispelling those glamours. And this is going to be hard. It's going to be hard, because you have the Antichrist incarnated and you voted him in to become the president. Yeah? And you all can look at me and go, that's Jesus Christ. We believe in that, but him saying that some guy is the Antichrist is mean. That's just unjust. Yeah? Well, I'm sorry. But I'm going to do this until he commits himself. Till his own father shows up right next to him. And he will. Because he knows his father is Satan. It's on his freaking birth certificate. Strange enough. Yeah? So we have a lot to deal with. Yeah? It's not a matter of us, let's get our talismans together and let's start doing black magic against black magic, There is a process in the reality of the hierarchy where when you're a third and a fourth and a fifth degree initiate, you're a magi, you're a magician. You do work with light. Yeah. And you do invocations and evocations, and you ask for every living being to be saved. And you spend all your time in meditation. You are a monk of the highest order and a nun of the highest order. You do not have a family. You do not have children. You have never had sex. These people exist. They're my closest friends. Yeah? They exist by the thousands. Yeah? They surround me and put me on thrones and build monasteries around me. I have thousands of monasteries. Yeah? And I maintain them, but they're in the Himalayas. They're in Tibet. Many are in India and some are in Nepal. Yeah? And I'm the only guy. Not the Dalai Lama, not all these Rinpoches, not all that. Nope. I am the only guy who saves those monasteries and rebuilds those monasteries and puts children back in those monasteries by the thousands. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of more children now than we did 15 years ago. Yeah? Because the Lucifer quality that was also in Tibetan Buddhism, in Muslimism, yeah, in Christianity, yeah, or in politics, whatever fanatic direction you take will lead you to the dark side of an illusion and a delusion. And you're hoping that it was true, but only Jesus the Christ is going to lead you to the door that takes you to the truth. And you're going to look at it and you're going to go, I always thought that was the truth. Holy shit, it's that easy? You got to be kidding me. You mean to tell me I don't have to meditate for 1,000,000 years and I don't have to do all these things and I don't have to do all that? No. You have to allow yourself to change and become pure, become light, incarnate your soul through Jesus the Christ. Your soul comes from Jesus the Christ. Isn't that a novelty? It's not a church. It's a soul. A soul. A soul. Now you can say, oh, shit, we all have souls. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a soul. I wouldn't be able to talk to you. I wouldn't be able to make it through kindergarten if I didn't have a soul. Well, sorry, you're dumb. You don't know what a soul is. You have no identification of what are the trademarks of a soul. What are the characteristics of a soul? Yeah? Well, let's look at the characteristics of no soul. And that's called glamour and vices. You got any glamour? Got any vices? Yeah? When was the last time you had a cigarette? When was the last time you had a drink of alcohol? Yeah? When was the last time you had to eat sugar? You had to eat bread. You had to have a sandwich. It had to be a high dense carbohydrate. Yeah? It's all emotions. We're all stuck in our emotions. We're all stuck in our solar plex. We're all driven by that solar plex. And the solar plex is the psychic generator of Lucifer. The psychic generator. It makes us into slaves. And we have no idea that we're the slave of corporations. Asshole, creepy-ass corporations. Dark Force stuff. Darth Vader crap. Corporations. Monsanto. They got us thinking that we have to have farms, people. Oh, they're the most important thing on planet Earth. Farms. That's not true. That's not true. We have farms because you want sugar. Yeah? We have farms because you need glucose, you need fructose in everything. Yeah? Shit, we'll put fructose in your car. Drive it on ethanol, just so we can continue growing corn rather than drive an electric car. And evolve to where we have solar panels on our car and we never plug in the car, we never pay anything for a car, and nor do we ever do maintenance. Yeah. But hey, that's like totally outside that solar plex, because that solar plex is stuck as a fanatic. It has to get its sugar fix. It has to get its ability to put its foot on the throttle Vroom, vroom, vroom. Hear that motor. Vroom, vroom, vroom. I got a Ford. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah. Big truck. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah. But that's our consciousness back there. Back there. That's what we remember, and that's what got us off in our emotions. And that's okay. I love hot rods. I love all these things. I love all this stuff. But it's time to go, people. Time to go. Yeah? We're ecologists. That's who you are. It's who you are. By nature, you're an ecologist. What do you love? What do you love? You love Earth. Why are you here? You reincarnate to where? Earth. What do you do? What do you do? I am here. Why? Because of Earth service. Earth service. Oh, but that doesn't mean that you're a slave. It means that you're in service to the plants, to the kingdoms of Earth. Not a freaking king. That'll take you away and destroy the kingdoms of Earth, because there is no such thing as a king. That's your first lie. Second lie is that there's a queen. Yeah? Then you're sitting there going, well, who am I, this little tiny speck on an ant? You know? Compared to a king or a queen. I'm just a slave. I was incarnated in order to get gold for the king. So I can go into the cave and dig and get the gold and get all the minerals and the oil and everything out of the earth, because that's what the king's going to ask you to do. It's the only person in the world that'll ask you to do that. Trust it. Go all the way back in history. What do they ask for? They say, oh, get in that boat and go get all the minerals, all the gold, all the things, all salt if it's salt, or silver if it's silver, whatever is the acquired need of the day that'll get you more money, more wealth, more power. Yeah? The glamour. Yeah? Money. Root of all evil, people. Root of all evil. Yeah? So when it comes down to these masters that I work with and I live with, and they came to get me when I was 9, yeah? You probably heard that story in Little Buddha. Yeah, the movie Little Buddha. That was me. Yeah, it's a real story. It's a real event. Shocking to my parents. Literally gave my dad a nervous breakdown. You know, Jesus Christ is in his house, is his son. That's impossible to believe. What's it going to do to you as a person? Well, he's a Republican. And he hates the possibility of the reincarnation of Christ. He hates it. It's not a real reality. He doesn't believe that it's true. If it is true, Republicans believe the truth relationship to a Christ is that the Christ would come out of a cloud, you know, in some astral, ethereal, mumbo-jumbo, psycho babble reality, yeah? And shock the shit out of everybody and judge everybody and kill everybody, yeah? And then say, oh, I like you. Come with me. You're gonna go up to heaven with me. That's bullshit, people. And they tell you bullshit, and they scare the crap out of you. But there is always a partial truth. A partial truth. Yeah? So here's the truth. Truth. I'm from the noosphere. The noosphere. Now I'm from Earth, but I'm from the noosphere. The noosphere is a level of consciousness on your planet that is included with the geosphere, the hemisphere, like biosphere, and the noosphere. Yeah? And each one of these realms are kingdoms, are in consciousness kingdoms. But there are hardly any human beings in the noosphere. Almost everybody is in the geosphere. And quite a lot of people are in the biosphere. They're just making money, and they're selling materials, and they're doing business and trade, and all this is going on, and they're controlling the world through that process. And that biosphere has us all realizing the world is soon to be destroyed. Because we're overusing the geosphere, and we're abusing the biosphere. We don't know how to behave with little boys and little girls. Can't stop raping them. Can't stop molesting them. Can't stop using them. Can't stop trading them. Moms and dads trading their little girls for money. Been happening for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. It's a reality. It's better to live in the truth. It's difficult, but it's better to live in the truth and gain strength. Your heart is based on strength, courage. Yeah? When you're weak and you're in the solar plex, you better carry a pistol. Yeah? Because you're just a wimp. You're just a wimp. But a wimp is a liar. A wimp is a liar and a bully. So they're going to grab the biggest stick and beat the shit out of as many people as possible because they're fully incapable of doing what they say they could do. But they're angry and they're hostile and they're overwhelmingly aggressive. So it becomes all these things that we witness as violence and murder, like Cain and Abel. Yeah? And you got to wonder, what would cause Cain to kill Abel? What would do that? Food. Food did that. Yeah? And that's a weird thing. Yeah? Here Adam and Eve had a kid, you know. Life's not good, but they have a kid. And one is one kind of person, and the other is another kind of person. One is a vegetarian. Yeah? And he's avid in his vegetarianism. I can't kill an animal. I can't. He's highly emotional. Extremely emotional. He's the one in the end who will build the nuclear bomb, create every weapon to man, and turn women into prostitutes. The same guy, Cain. Same guy. Yeah. But then you got Abel. Abel is a meat eater. Yeah. He's not a fanatic. You know, what made sense to him is what will make sense to all humanity as time grows on. But this other one was a perverted, altered state of belief. And it went into, are you going to offer this to God? You're going to offer vegetables to God, or are you going to offer a lamb to God? Yeah? And barbecue it. Eat it. Enjoy the heck out of yourself. And be nourished. Yeah? And call that prasadam. Call that receiving and giving. Yeah? Full nourishment. Nourishment from God. Yeah? Something that will keep you alive longer. By following God. Simple God instincts. Yeah? So, we're not going to carry weapons to kill mankind. We're going to figure out a weapon to take down the kingdom below us to provide for our food. Rather than take out all the kingdoms and go and dig up all the oil and all the minerals and all the diamonds and all the gems, and then go on to the next kingdom and think that, oh, we got to eat all the vegetables and we have to build farms and we have to get Monsanto in on this because we can't make them while they're cold. You know, we got to get it to grow while it's cold and hot and all these mutated states, you know, and we go on and on and on. We bring that in. That's Cain. That's a mind of Cain. That's humanity, as we are. We're either on the side of Cain or Abel. Yeah? And we really don't know the difference. We don't really know that you are the children of Adam and Eve. Yeah? You don't really know that. And you don't really know that Jesus Christ is the reincarnation of Adam. And in his life, his crucifixion was to resurrect himself as Adam. In the body that you saw right after the resurrection, you see a new Jesus Christ. And they're all going, yeah, but he doesn't look the same. I'm not real sure. It doesn't look the same. It was the same guy, except that he was Adam. Reincarnated, resurrected, regenerated. Yeah. So when you go all the way back, yeah, you're actually looking at the lineage of Adam. The story of Adam. This is a light seed coming from God, a light seed, bringing it to earth, planting it in the dirt. And it grows out of the kingdom of the vegetable through the animal. And you could see this. You could see this in all things. You could see that the vegetable kingdom is directly linked to the insects and the animal kingdom. Insects and plants are the same. You probably don't get all that, but it's true Their entire process, plants and insects, are connected. Yeah? So in that process, we have a we have a tendency toward ourselves, to where we don't really understand where our kingdoms are at, how we relate to the kingdoms that we're involved in. Yeah? And our true self, our true relationship is to take a relationship to the kingdom that's just below us, the animal kingdom. And that's not because we're monkeys made manifest into human beings, or that we need to have only relationship with animals, because lower elements like vegetables and stuff do not have the consciousness. This is what gurus tell you. Gurus tell you can't eat meat because the lower consciousness is in animals. And all the hate, the anger, and the hostility and aggression that's in animals will pass on to you, and you'll never receive enlightenment. That's bullshit. That's 100% bullshit. I've met very enlightened kitty cats. I've met extremely enlightened weasels. I've met cows that'll take you to heaven. I've met birds that are directly out of heaven. Yeah? There isn't anything here from an animal to a plant. Everything is from heaven. From heaven. Yeah? So we're not taking anything and thinking, oh, I'm turning into the beast and all that. No, I'm just trying to tell you the truth. Our truth is like Cain and Abel. We can see it with the mind and consciousness like a view. Yeah? And here's Abel in a view. His view is in the heart. He's seeing things from the heart. And higher telepathy with his brow open, yeah, his throat center is clear, open, understanding. Still got music. Probably a telephone. Yeah? Yeah, so imagine that every kingdom that we're involved in, every kingdom that humanity is involved in a process of trying to heal the human kingdom, bring the human kingdom and becoming humane. Yeah? And so that process is an elemental process. It's not an easy thing. It's not something that just happens because we choose these things. It's something that is elementally infused into the process, and it's locked in as a law. As a law. There's no separate duality. It's like good and evil. We have to have evil in order to have good. That's not true. It's not true at all. Yeah? Good is all that exists. It's a working out of good. Yeah? It may not be the best, but it's a working out. Yeah? It's harmony through conflict. Yeah? It's working out. And as we use a view, a proper view, and we get a right alignment to the things that we're being led to, yeah? People, places, things, yeah? Then those things have a direct telepathy. That's called dharma. That dharma connects between people, yeah? And it literally evaporates your karma. Yeah? And we don't know what karma is. We don't know where karma comes from. We don't know, why all these kids get shot. 19 people get shot at the same time. How is that? Yeah? One stupid person, a politician comes out and says, well, I think it's because they're legalizing marijuana and there's so many clinics that have become legalized that now people are out there raging with machine guns, because we're so taken over by the dark side of legalizing marijuana that it's fed in to other sides of darkness, which would mean machine guns in the hands of kids and all these terrible, terrible things as outcomes. Yeah? And all those things are outcomes that are manifesting through a lower nature. Yeah? It's not what we think. It's not the cause of what we think. Yeah? All the influences that are happening for humanity are happening in order to work out a plan. Yeah? It has nothing to do with the earth going into destruction or us having a nuclear holocaust, and that we have to have a nuclear holocaust. 2016, these religious fanatics said, oh, we need to have Trump so we can have a nuclear war. We have to have the revelation, as it says in the end of the Bible, and Trump is a sign of the Antichrist. So we need the Antichrist. And they're going, well, no, but the Antichrist, this guy rapes little kids and he gets away with it. This guy steals all of our tax money, millions and millions and millions of dollars, and never pays a dime. This man is so ruthless, so bad, so wrong in every way. There's no way that we'd ever vote him in, let alone agree with the things he might do. Yeah? But that's not true. It's not true. Yeah? The influence of the process of the Antichrist is far-reaching. It goes off into Putin. It goes off into North Korea. And then you got the Antichrist going, they love me. Putin loves me. I love him. He's nice. We're strong. We're strong together. We're strong. We're powerful people. We're leaders. Geniuses. Leaders. Yeah? And all of that is your delusion in Lucifer's mind. Because Lucifer's all about intellect. Lucifer's all about intelligence. Lucifer's all about how many dollars do you have in the bank. Lucifer's about, what credit, how much credit do I have to get what I need. All the things that are in the glamour, the process of glamour, everything to do with glamour is involved with what it is that humanity's working on. Yeah? It's not just a simple religious process of us joining the church. That's the last thing in the world I would ask anybody to do. Yeah? Main thing I ask everybody to do is to realize that Jesus Christ is here. Yeah? And walking on earth. And I got things to say. And the technologies of advancements I've been doing since I was 5 or 6 years old. I developed the electric car before I was 8. I've been working with the process of getting the Tesla, everything, all interacted into the world, complete, ready to go. Yeah? That took me 20 years to do that. To develop the electric car, to develop the engine, to buy a company, to foster the development of manufacturing an electric car. No one's doing it. I actually do it. Yeah. And then I got a hold of Elon Musk and said, you could do better, man. You can do 300 miles, you could do all these things, I'm selling my company and I'm going to buy your car. 6 weeks later, we're working on Model S. Yeah? Skip that sports car. You're an idiot. Skip going to Mars too. You're an idiot. But you're an idiot. So I'm not going to expect a lot out of you. People out here think you're a genius because they're real idiots. And idiots think basic, slight level idiots are geniuses. Yeah? Just like, Trump thinks that Putin is a genius. Yeah? He's just an idiot. Yeah? And idiots are idiots, and that's just the way it is. We're in a world filled with idiots. Yeah? And that's how this is all going to get worked out. Because idiots have no power. Idiots are idiots. Yeah? They're just going to bounce off themselves. They don't make anything. They don't do anything. They don't gain anything. They're living inertia. They're an idiot. Yeah? And there's no harm in that because it is a part of your symptom of lack of psychological balance, lack of emotional balance, lack of a mental balance, lack of spiritual clarity that gives you consciousness. You're all going to remain idiots until all that comes into play. Yeah? Yeah? Even what do you eat, until you are aware of what you should be eating and you put it into play. You're just always going to be an idiot. Yeah? I'm an idiot, nothing but an idiot. That used to be my game song as a kid. Because I just thought that's we all should just sing that until we come out of this thing. Because we're under a curse or something. My dad's an idiot, my mom's an idiot, everybody's an idiot, my school teachers are idiots, everybody's a freaking idiot. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. It means that they're mentally ill. Yeah? So how do we fix mental illness? In a place to where we are dominantly spiritual, but we're being controlled through our solar plex, our emotions. So we can't look at a black person without having an emotional response. We can't even look at a white person if they have any characteristics of similarities to balance. Like that eye is connected to that eye and they're not like that. If they're really balanced, oh, you're so pretty, and your nose is hanging over here, and sticking out like that, oh my God, you're so pretty. A little bit of symmetry immediately kicks us into this delusion, as though this is a perfect person. This is great, and it has nothing to do with any of that. It's about our view. It's about our view, our conscious view. And if we can, and you will release, because it's not a part of, oh, I got to do this, I got to will this, I got to make this happen. Trust me, I'm doing it. I'm willing it. I'm making it happen. And I know how the outcome's going to turn out. And every year, I know exactly what the symptoms are going to be, and I watch them. I knew you were going to have all electric cars, and at the same time, movies are coming out. Why did they just kill the electric car? Why did they do that? And yet, at the same time, I'm out going, we're building new electric cars. We're starting a new thing called Tesla. And this is all in an etheric field. Not on a physical level, but in an etheric field. Totally in my mind, coming from my emotions up into my heart, going into my brow, going out to you. And that's your teacher. That's your teacher. That's called aspiration. Inspiration. That's where your idiot ideas go fizzle away, because parts of you are fizzling away. They don't exist anymore. There's a lot of the personality of humanity are based completely on hate and separation and bias and prejudice and vices and glamours. And those are all elements. They're elements. The food we eat is based on that. The air we breathe is based on that. Everything is based on that. But with Christ, it's a totally different thing. The elements that are radiating out of Christ, that are vibrating into humanity, are changing the etheric field from an astral field. And a lot of, here I'm saying etheric field, astral field. People are going, okay, he's lost me there. I'm not sure where we're going here. What is an etheric field? The etheric field is the relationship of truth. It's a relationship of reality. So imagine that we're all angels. We're all angels, And we all have the power, just like Jesus said, we all have the power to heal, We all have the power to exorcise demons out of people, But the only way we can do it is we have to have a view that there is a demon, And that demon has to shake you up deep inside, because it enters you, and you start a war, an aggressive war, in your physical body against the elements that are trying to make you not you. Those are the demons. That's the Antichrist. That's Lucifer. There's nothing out there, nothing in this world that isn't God. Nothing. Not a rock, not a drop of water, not an essence of smell. It's all God. It's all created by God in a geometric manifestation of God's mind. God's mind. God is holding everything in completion at all times. But Lucifer leads you to think that you have free will. Even made it in a Bible saying you got free will. But it's not true. Did Moses have free will? No. Did Enoch have free will? No. Does Jesus have free will? Not one freaking bit. But you do. You do. Lucifer is your free will. Lucifer is your pride. Lucifer is the trigger on a pistol. Lucifer is your decision-making process. Your decision-making process. Not God. Lucifer. Lucifer is the one who says, kill that baby. And you're the one who carries it out. Does that make sense? We have laws today that are trying to abide for human rights, bring people into a higher state of consciousness. Yeah? But it's so difficult because we are serving two masters. One of hate and lying. And that liar says he's the only one who knows the truth. I'll get rid of Twitter and give you Truth Social. Yeah? But when you're Satan, Lucifer, the liar, everything is the opposite of the truth in the world. Everything in the world is the opposite of the truth. So if you say, oh, that's the truth, but when it comes out of your mouth, it's a lie. Yeah? That's the astral plane. Yeah? And the astral plane is when you look at someone and you see a little bit of symmetry and you go, oh my God, that's so pretty. Or if you look at someone and you start seeing a little bit of racial differences, oh my God, I know what's coming. Trust, distrust, like, dislike, all those things start clicking off on you. Those are your Satans. Your Satans. How many times have you incarnated? A lot. How many times? Look today. Look online. Are there anybody online seeking to be a Satanist? Anybody online? And when they do, what do? Do they go, I believe in Satan, Satan, Satan? No. They believe they are Satan. They believe they become Satan. They believe that they are God. And they believe that their will is what's most important. Thy will be done. Now think about it in yourself. How pissed off do you get when you don't get your will done? Yeah? When you lose something, you get all emotional and everything. You know? Yeah. Is that you? Or is that a bunch of little Satans living in your body? Who wants to hear this shit, huh? Who wants to hear this? Not many people. Not the little Satans, I'm telling you that for sure. There's a very big uncomfortableness in that process. Yeah. But I am ending the door of evil. I am closing the door of evil. I am ushering demons off the planet. I see them. I talk to them. I get them to divorce and slowly but surely gain their soul. Because a lot of times, Satans are married to Satans. And a lot of times, Satans have disciples for husbands and wives. And you wonder, how is it I take the beatings? Why do I live with an alcoholic? How come this person's got to drink so much and smoke cigarettes and cuss and be angry and gossip all the time? And I have no friends. Why is that? That's your life today. End it. You have to focus on the reality of Christ being in the world, not as something in a Bible, not as something in the sky, not as something that you can call upon and say, oh, please save my ass, do something, this, anything, Cadillac, whatever, Don't bother with that. Just realize it's a real reality. We all, right here, are right now, in the now. We are in this moment. We are all incarnated. And we are all going to continue incarnating. We will never not be together. You may die anytime, but you will return. And I am always here. And the big difference between me and you is that I see you. And I know this truth. Yeah? So I resurrect. And I reincarnate. And I continue my work. I don't forget what I did in my last life. Not one thing. I'm usually just blocks away from where I'm supposed to be. My masters come and get me as a kid. Look at that as Krishna. What happened to Krishna when Krishna was born? Masters came to get him. What happened to Jesus? Masters came to get him. But what happened? Why would masters come to get him? Come to get him? Wow. It's mainly because he's a son of God. And Satan's out there. And finding out that I'm here, he's going to kill all the little boys in order to try to get to me. So the masters came to ask my mother and father, just as they did in this life, to let me go with them. So I can go back to the monasteries and be the person I am as a child, rather than try and delude me and think that you're my mother and you're my father and I have to listen to you and your rules. And that's what happened. Look at the Bible. 9 years old, I went into the church and started teaching. My mom got so pissed off. My dad dragged me out of there. I couldn't believe it. I healed 3 people. I was ready to go. Yeah? Age means nothing to me. Whether I'm 9 years old, 5 years old, 4 years old, 90 years old, 105 years old, I'm still exactly the same guy talking exactly the same way. Yeah? And that was stopped. And this is what was supposed to happen to Krishna. And that was stopped. And that was supposed to happen to Buddha too. If you know any of the history of Buddha, he was born, his mother dies, a master appears 2 days after his birth and says, oh, this is a very holy being, must live in the world as a very holy being. But his father's a king. And he's going, nah, this is my kid, and he's going to be a king. He's a prince, Prince Siddhartha. Yeah? So here comes all the weight of Satan on Buddha. Took him 33 years to get that out of him before he could see again. And then he becomes enlightened. Well, look at the same story of Jesus. He was beaten down till he was 14 years old by his own parents. And none of you want to think that. All of you want to go, oh, Mary, mother of all things. No, she's just a chick. You know, another woman, another girl, another person. Great being. Yeah? But in this world, you need to incarnate through beings to take the incarnation as being a human being. You can't just make manifest. You have to incarnate. It's a cycle. You're turning the wheel of dharma. You enter the wheel of life. That's incarnation. Yeah? Every one of us goes through this. Every one of us. You need to completely pop that bubble, thinking that, oh, that's what he says, that's what he experiences. And that's not what you do. It's not true. You have exactly the same soul quality I do. The same, and you don't even know this word, monadic quality, which means the blessing of God himself is in you, is in all of you. I see it, the best thing that you're ever going to get is releasing yourself from the demons that you have. Yeah? And don't judge yourself. Don't find fault in yourself. Don't find fault in others, because that's the demon talking. You got to slow it down. Use mindfulness. Yeah? Use meditation. Yeah? Turn on my CD. Listen to me. Yeah? Tell you about God. Tell you about the rays. Tell you about the fact that you have a soul. Yeah? Tell you that you are going to reincarnate. And you have always reincarnated. Think of it. All the way back to dinosaurs, you've been walking around. And scared. Really scared. But what would that fear bring to you? It would bring you a higher psychic ability of telepathy and intuition and shamanism. Yeah? Shamanism. So the human being, as we evolved through time, millions of years of time, we evolved into a shaman called the human. Yeah? Before, we were more animal, more subhuman, yeah, more aggressive, dumb, yeah, filled with fear. But our meditation, our mindfulness, yeah, our lack of avarice toward animals and things, our reverence toward those animals, and the taking of that life, and the talking to the animal, and feeling the spirit pass through you as you grow stronger. And this isn't a weird thing, it's a truth thing. You're witnessing a truth inside yourself, and you're building the new human being that can live for thousands of years. The life, the lineage of Adam was that he died just before 1,000 years. And he wasn't supposed to die. Well, what does that mean? You're the children of Adam and Eve. Are you supposed to die? Are you? Really? You honestly believe it? Yeah? What about the thought of mind over matter? What about the thought that, we could never do a 4-minute mile? That's impossible. People are bouncing past a 4-minute mile like nothing, because it's all mind over matter. Yeah? But if we go back and look at the reality of truth, yeah, and Adam and Eve, the only reason Adam and Eve died is because of Lucifer. That's it. They had Satan in them. And it killed them. And what did it make them do? It made them slaves. They had to toil the earth. They had to try and figure out what they're to eat, how to eat. They became stupid. And yet in the Bible, Satan writes, they seeked enlightenment, but they actually became stupid. They had enlightenment. Yeah. Everything was natural for them. They knew what to take. They knew how to eat it. They knew what to do. And they lived and lived and lived until the fall took place. Yeah. And when that happened, that seeking of knowledge set them down into the solar plex of the lower mind, not the higher mind. The higher mind was always in them as a tree of life. They incarnated. That's the tree of life. It's like an insect. It's like a bird. It's like everything in life. It comes from the mind of God. Everything comes from the mind of God. Every single thing has to have the mind of God behind it to give it the spark of life. You can't ever figure this out unless you understand what I'm saying. And if you finally get that, then we can move forward. Yeah? You will find out that vehicles, physical items, objects can levitate. But first you've got to get out of this material world that you're in, heavily. You're bound in this thing. You're caught into this thing. Money is the root of all evil. Now, today, you're even thinking you need guns. You know, to defend yourself, or for whatever reason, give the kids guns, give the teachers guns, whatever you got going on. All that is a bunch of little Satans talking to you. And they got their political agendas, and they got their special interest agendas from those corporations and everything, and it's all based on money. Evil, heartlessness, soullessness. Yeah? And there's no real truth of anybody. I will never tell you that you have bought into it. You did not buy into it. It was willed upon you. Willed upon you. You may not believe in witches and warlocks. Yeah? You better start. Even today, you still look at your astrology. Yeah? You wonder if numerology has any basis. Yeah? Well, what about those people who do practice numerology? All those people in Hollywood, all those people in New York, all those people you know. Yeah? All those people who are witches, even if they're white witches, they're Satan's little pretty girls, little pretty boys. Yeah? And they do exist. And they believe they have the power over you because they can do incantations. You don't believe in incantations. You believe in prayers. What do they do incantations on? Getting you married. Getting you a job. Getting you into life that will support the massive organizations of witches and warlocks ruling this earth. The masses of people who just go about saying, oh, I'm just, I'm agnostic. I don't really believe in God, but I believe in myself. Well, there you go. That's one. Check that off. Yeah. And I believe in my credentials. Oh, no, here we go again. And I'm a hard worker. I will work and do anything for the dollar. Yeah. And these are common human characteristics. And when you join a business, you're placed in an enslaved reality. And you're not buying into it. You're forced into it. Yeah. Your politicians doesn't allow you any vacation time. They don't believe in it. Why? That would be socialism or some kind of communist view. No. It would be what Jesus would ask for. Yeah? And every living human being, I've been all over this earth. Yeah? And I've treated Europe, I've treated Denmark, I've treated Sweden, I've treated all over this earth and raised those countries up. And they have good medical practices. Yeah? And they have good educational practices, and nobody has to pay for their college. Nobody has to pay for all this stuff. If they are qualified and capable and can go on to be a doctor, go for it. And we will have a better world. That's how it's going to happen. Not by this pride process that we have today. Because it's in a delusionary political delusion, as though this is politics. And politics has nothing to do with humanity. Nothing. It has to do with corporations, businesses, corporations. Yeah? Like GE or, R&R or, railroad. I'm old. I'm like 70, so I remember weird shit. Yeah? But we're in that world. This is the world. Yeah, and we can't go, oh, I'm against that. I'm big brother, it's all just a man, Don't talk like that. Don't do that. Don't think that. That's not what it is. Yeah, it is the signs of the Antichrist, and you're not in it. You're not part of it because you seek to be in the signs of the Christ. And there are signs of the Christ. And what are the signs of the Christ? Well, okay. Antichrist comes out and says, windmills, you don't want windmills, they're gonna, and he's so stupid. He's like a kindergartner when he talks, because the Antichrist never goes to school, never is educated, doesn't think they have to because they have a silver spoon, money. Yeah. So this process, that all of us are supposed to buy into is to keep us out of the economy. And that's by keeping us out of ecology. Yeah? So Satan wants to make sure that we do not have any interest or understanding of ecology. On any, whether it be a light bulb, oh no, he doesn't like it because it turns his hair orange. Or solar panels, no, I don't like them, because what happens when the sun goes down? We can't watch TV. Yeah, and wind generators, well, they make a lot of noise, and that noise causes cancer. Remember that. Yeah. So Satan is just out there to spread lies to make you afraid of Jesus Christ. Do you understand? That everything. I am busy in this world. I have been really busy. I have been helping the government. I have all the way since Kennedy. Yeah. I have been working with the CIA, and you probably wouldn't like that, but I have. Because they wanted to kill you all. And I needed to change that. They believed in extraterrestrials, and they do exist, but they trusted them, and they shouldn't. They are not trustworthy. We've been down that road before, and it destroyed everything. Destroyed continents, created earthquakes, massively destroyed humanity by creating viruses that were out of control, by changing the chakra direction of humanity. That happened in the past, and that happened by working with extraterrestrials. And a lot of you going, oh, now wait, this guy Jesus is starting to talk extraterrestrials, and he's saying they're real. You know, I'm just telling you the truth. Yeah, they are real. The CIA is very well aware of all this shit, and so am I. And I'm also aware of the fact that in Russia does not really focus on war as much as it focuses on the ability of propaganda, the lie, creating lies, as much lies, but how can you brainwash someone if they didn't watch your TV program or they didn't listen to what you had to say? They didn't join your group to get that information. You do it psychically. Yeah? They developed psychic generators that had the ability to control people on the street. These people would sit in by windows, look out on the street, and pick any random person and point at that person and say, stop. And that person would stop. They'd say, turn around. That person would turn around. They'd say, walk into the traffic. Person walked in traffic and died. Every day, hundreds and hundreds of people were tested, manipulated, in order to prove the skills of psychic generators. And the massive amount of money that was put into psychic generators in Russia is overwhelming. And yet, not one of you is aware of it. You might be aware of it, but my God, people, this is the biggest industry in Russia. And yet, you're not very aware of it. And you could study in America. CIA developed the same program, developed a program in the military. Yeah, they went into the colleges, they started talking with psychology students, asking them if they can join in to this CIA group to see whether or not we could do projectile viewing. Project into any area, yeah? Let's say you're in the military and you got some guy that's been kidnapped and he's hidden someplace and you need to find out where he's at so you can get him out. So you get a viewer. The viewer sits in the room, just closes their eyes, gets out some paper, starts drawing things that they see. Here's a building, a cot, there's a car over here, a tower over here, this and that. You know, and another person in another viewing room, you know, they come up very similar. You go, okay. Now focus on location, exact location, like the state or the possible number of an address, and they get all that, get all of it. And you know this is true. This went on from the 60s on. It's still happening today. Yeah? And they're not using psychic generators to do this. You're using people who are mediums, very powerful, very guided, and these are extremely peaceful mediums. They don't want to cause anybody any harm. And there's a movie out, they kill goats or put goats to sleep or some kind. What is it? What? Men who stare at goats. Yeah, men who stare at goats. Check it out. It's a true story. I'm not putting out, there's so much truth to put out. I have no reason to tell you any bullshit to get you to do anything or understand anything. This thing is so overwhelmingly needing to be clarified because the Antichrist is freaking incarnated, people. It's a great thing I'm incarnated, but what you don't know is that I'm always incarnated. Always. I was incarnated right 2,000 years ago, right? And I died on a cross after being stabbed and, you know, tortured and killed, right? And then I resurrect, yeah? My resurrect creates so much light, yeah? That there's an enormous change in the factor of time, yeah? The factor of time shifted to the point where time came together at one point, and that was in Jesus the Christ. And his death became the point of creation, Alpha, Omega. And in that very day, in that resurrection, and the cloth that you see and the full embodiment that you see on the cloth, that's from light. But it's from a light body that was levitating. The cloth was levitating, the body was levitating, and it was all of light. And this could be seen in a hologram scientifically. Everything I'm telling you can be seen and understood. So 2,000 years ago, Jesus the Christ became the light bearer of time, the Lord of time. Yeah? So every incarnation that I'm taking is to change the outcome of Satan's outcome of a horrible time. Terrible time. Wars after wars after wars, pestilence, disease, people fighting each other, killing your babies, sacrificing your children. All of that going on. Yeah? But all that's going to stop because it's all created by corruption of the soul. Soullessness. Can't happen if you have a soul. Can't happen. So it's not about God in a machine. It's not about laying down laws and beating the shit out of you and getting you to do right. It's about destroying the evil that's inside of you by finding the source. The source. You're not the source. You're not the source. The source is sitting in Mar-a-Lago. That's the source. You may not like it. I don't give a shit. I don't. A lot of you love Satan. Kissed his feet. Yeah? Worked for him. Life after life after life after life, whether it be as in Rome, yeah? Or during the time of Jesus as Herod, yeah? How many people kissed his feet? How many babies were killed because of him? That's the same guy you know that you made president. That's Herod. Same guy. You don't think he's out after my ass? He doesn't even know I exist. He's so stupid. He's so arrogant, all about him. He cannot see God before his own face, and his time of judgment is now. It is now. And you will watch this. You will see him go into a orange jumpsuit. You will see him go into it. You will see 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and on. More people go into these orange jumpsuits and be prosecuted. And humanity will say, he is the Antichrist. And I will be free, just as I am today, because you did not elect him back, even though he still says today he is the president. And he will destroy all of you unless you agree with him. So I'm here to save your ass. Because he doesn't have a right to do what he's doing to you. He's ruined the East Coast. He's ruined America. He's ruined everything. Yeah? He's ruined families. He's ruined children. He's made it possible for men to molest, manipulate, and rape women and get away with it. The Me Too movement is because of him. And they're barely able to do anything because they can't point their finger. They get close, yeah? The guy who killed himself in prison, his best friend who lived right down the street from him, and they hung out all the time. And I have video of him raping a 14-year-old girl. And that's going to come out in court because it's part of the court. I'm giving a lot of information, yeah? You're not, yeah? You may think Trump is an okay guy, but if you see him having sex with a 14-year-old girl, screaming and slapping her, I think you might think differently, because that exists. That exists. And there are 11 other tapes with a 13-year-old girl, with an 11-year-old boy, yeah? All very much him. There's no Photoshop here, there's no editing of anything, and all this is going to come out before he dies. And that's important. It's important so that you yourself, while he's in a body, can say, I disown you. I am not part of you. You are not part of me. What you do, I do not do. I do not okay. I do not feel God made you do it. and you realize this is the Antichrist. This is a being who's been on this planet for so many hundreds of thousands of years and has killed so many innocent people by the billions, single-handedly. Single-handedly. Imagine what that will do for the planet if that person never touches this earth again. Because you're believing, oh, well, but it's not him. There's a whole bunch of people doing it. Not really. What if there's a leader and everybody's orchestrated to be like Lucifer, to be like Satan? But if there's no Satan, what you going to be like but God? Your truth will come back. You will heal. Yeah? And your children will heal. And all the future generations that come on this earth will be angels. Angels. In 100, 200 years, you're going to see things you never imagined would ever happen because it comes from our heart. It comes from our heart. We have the ability to levitate things. We have the ability to heal things. We have the ability to regenerate bodies. None of that, not even the slightest of that, is being experienced today. Soullessness. Soullessness. I'm asking all of you to be the 12 disciples I asked before who all betrayed me. All of them. And it wasn't because they did that. There was no choice in the matter. There's no free will in this scenario. This is a long, drawn-out mission that I'm a part of. Yeah? When I left Israel, I went to India. I traveled through India. That took me to Nepal. I stayed in Nepal. That took me to Bhutan. I stayed in Bhutan. And that took me to Srinagar. Once I got to Srinagar, I was taken to a place called Hemis. This is a monastery. And I stayed there for 11 years and became the person you know. I was 14, 15 years old, and I grew up in that monastery. But that monastery has in it the incarnations of almost every living master on earth comes to that monastery. Naropa, everybody comes to that monastery, including Jesus. Yeah? And I've got, later I'll if you follow my teachings, I will show you a video that shows you the scholars out of India and out of Srinagar and everything that literally shows, that Jesus lived in Srinagar and lived a very long life, up to nearly 100 years, and my job was that I was to teach the scholars of Buddha, all the scholars of Buddha. And I taught them to meditate and focus upon God. Not anti-God, not Buddhism, there's no God. Buddhism, there's no incarnations, but reincarnation. The fact of reincarnation and the fact of developing monastic universities. And I started that in Srinagar. Yeah? So that's where I went. Yeah? My time and energy went there. Yeah? And I established what we now know as Tibetan Buddhism, where all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of masters incarnate in Tibet. But they don't come from Tibet. Yeah? They come from humanity. And they're people that have found me in their life, because I'm omnipresent. I don't have to be living next door. I don't have to call you on a phone. I'm omnipresent. If you reach that level of consciousness in your soul, I will be right there with you, because souls are a collective soul, not individual. It's a collective soul. It comes from Jesus the Christ. That's the soul. Does that make sense? We're all in the body of Jesus the Christ. You ever hear of that before? Yeah? Because you are. You're getting there. Trust me, every cell of Jesus the Christ is a house of humanity. It's a living house. It vibrates. It energizes. It maintains the life force of everything in this world. Yeah? So that vitality goes out into humanity. And from the cell, and we're all just a human being. That's me, just a human being, just like you. And I have cells, and so do you. Well, guess what? We are a psychic situation to where if you study physics, you'll find that there's quantum physics. You could take one particular atom over here and a very same one, you transfer that and put it over in New York, and you're in California. And you have the ability to spin the electrons on this one in a particular way. All of a sudden, the electrons on that one will spin in exactly the same way. And you're going, what? Wait a minute, where's time and space here? What just happened? How could this be? I mean, I could be on Mars and do the same thing, and it will happen instantaneously, in the very same moment, as though there is no such thing as time and space. That's because you are light. You are light. You are at the infinite point of light. That is your soul. That means you're omnipresent. Your telepathic ability is without time and space. There is no limitations to what you could do. You could heal. You could transport yourself. You could become omnipresent. You will have all these experiences. Without a doubt. You will find yourself the angel of angels, beyond anything you've ever imagined what an angel could be, because you're omnipresent. As a human being, you wonder, how can I help all these people? How can I help all those people? But in reality, as a soul, you are all those people. All you got to do is have mindfulness and presence. Be yourself, and they'll get to be themselves. Yeah? We all are vibrating in the same way I just explained that atom. We are all that. I am Adam. Does that make sense? And I am shaking this atom up, and there ain't any more Satan in this world. And that Satan is dying. Putin is dying. He's a Satan, big one. And he's dying of many things. And it's hard to kill this guy. And he's got doctors everywhere. He's got it all going on, everything. He's got all the money and everything. He wants to keep it going. So he has to destroy as many people as possible and inherit the evil that he has to take with him to his next life so he can continue being evil. And that's a process. It's what goes on. Yeah? Vlad the Impaler is reincarnated. Yeah? Study Vlad the Impaler. This man is the reincarnation of Vlad the Impaler. Yeah? Yeah? Take the relationship to Trump. He's the reincarnation of the guy who tried to kill Jesus. Yeah? And we all reincarnate. And they all say, when Jesus comes, it's going to be judgment time. Yep, but guess who's getting judged? Yeah, not you. And everybody is actually being lifted up, and the personalities that are all connected to having an agreement with Satan, that Satan, like death, it exists. Mind over matter, people. Mind over matter. Yeah? You got to get what I'm saying. He does not exist, and death does not exist. You reincarnate, and you keep reincarnating. And you may live 1,000 years. You may live 10,000 years. Who gives a shit? You're living. You're not going to be an old, fragile little thing sitting there with a tube in your nose, trying to breathe, 980 years. Oh, God, how long? This is terrible. This is like tragic. Not like that. Yeah. Life is like 40 years old. Yeah. That's life. That's life. Yeah. So the key is to understand all of our suffering is from this one guy. Trouble to believe. Trouble to believe. But he's on your block. He's on your planet. You know his name. You know my name. Yeah? Yeah? Whether you believe it or not, I'm saving your ass, and you don't have to ask me because it just is happening. Yeah? Because we all are similar. We all are the soul. If you're the soul, you're the soul. If you're not the soul, your ass is grass. And I'm taking you out. And I'm squeezing you until every baby is saved. From this incarnation to all future incarnations. Yeah? Because the suffering behind why you died and the molestation of the priest of all those kids and never get judged. Now Michael Jackson walks free as though he's a good guy. Give me a break. You can't ask for an evil or piece of shit. That man was a reincarnation of Hitler, people. The reincarnation of Hitler. Cute when he was 5, kind of neat when he was 14, but he was full-fledged demon by the time he was 22. And he was grabbing little boys, telling them he will marry them and change them, and they had to become like him. Remember that? All the little pedophile little boys that Michael Jackson had sex with had to wear their hair the same, had to do the dance, had to do it all. They had to become Michael Jackson. And he doesn't exist. He is like a fantasy in a movie, a caricature that comes out of Satan to give you an illusionary fantasy entertainment so that you won't see the demon dancing in the room. Yeah? Molesting the little boys. You're going to think of the entertainer. Yeah? Not a pedophile. Even though he talks like a pedophile, acts like a pedophile, lives like a pedophile, has a pedophile house. Oh well, I don't know. I think he's just Peter Pan. Lost his childhood and he just wants to have a good time. I mean, really? All that level of stupidity, that ability to persecute people and put them in prison who are not guilty and let someone like him walk free. Yeah? So many people walk free because they're Satanists. Yeah? And that's going to end. That's ending. It's already ended. Yeah? We are in a whole other world, and it's all happening because of meditation. You don't know that you're meditating. You may begin to meditate, but I'm doing it for you. I'm telling you, I'm carrying all of you as long as I'm in this body, and I'm in this body life after life after life. Yeah? So I will always raise you up. You have to come to think of it this way. You can't think of it as a church identity of Jesus Christ. You can't think of it as the identity of you're going to become the best disciple for Jesus Christ. You can't think of it that way. We are all already here. We are always incarnated. When we die, we will come back. And we have to do it again. Yeah? But we can live a life of consciousness, knowing Jesus Christ rather than being veiled from Jesus Christ. Because Jesus Christ is always here. I explained I was here during the time of Jesus all the way through Tibet. For 100 years, you didn't know a good 40, 50, 60 years of my life, my existence, my history. Yeah? And you didn't know that I reincarnated right after that again into Tibetan Buddhism, became the first tuku. Yeah? And then I come back after 500 years of doing that sort of thing. I come back and manifest as Padmasambhava. Padmasambhava, not even taking a body through a womb or anything like that, just a manifestation given to me by the 5 Dhyana Buddhas. Yeah? That was a manifestation. That was a big event for humanity. It was a big event because that meant that we had enormous numbers of masters on the planet who could sit as human beings and receive the light of the incarnation of the avatar without there having to be the womb incarnation of the avatar, but the physical manifestation of the avatar. Yeah? Which is what happens to me all the time. Yeah? That's how I got into Mary. That's how I incarnated in any body, and that's how I incarnated or manifested as Padmasambhava. Yeah? So that was a real thing that happened. But it happened because I went to a land called Tibet where all the devils existed. People think Tibet is a holy place, but it's not. It's the land of the devil. It's the evilest place on earth. It's a sanctuary where all the major demons hold force over the earth and keep the earth from evolving forward, keeping spirituality away, creating a dark lodge, a manifestation of human beings who focus upon witchcraft and elemental control to create rocks to do something, or metamorphosize your physical body to look differently so that other people will take you and accept you. And yet you're not you. Yeah? Yeah? It's a delusion, an illusion. Yeah? And these delusionary masters of Tibet were really good at that, and they're called the Bon. Yeah? And this is where the Dalai Lama comes out of. This is where the Dark Lodge comes out of. This is why I came to Tibet. I was asked by the head of Tibet to come down to where I lived, which is in India, and asked me to come up into Tibet and heal that nation of all these demons. And you had no idea. This is a place in the Himalayas, but you don't know that it's actually conjuring up Europe and a queen and all these people in Arabia. They're manifested out of these Dark Lodge demons, wizards, in Tibet. And they're helping to manifest a terrible world, a history of world, a world of war, a world of tanks and nuclear bombs and bullets and machine guns, all those kind of ideologies coming out of the minds of these witches and warlocks of Tibet. So war was brought out. The emphasis of the mind of war, glamours, were brought out and pushed into the world. So then we got kings and queens that began happening by large numbers as this side was happening. Yeah? So I know most people don't want to hear anything about Tibet. They don't want to hear anything about, what's gone on in the history and stuff like that, because we've got all kinds of history. But I'm telling you this because reincarnation of Jesus Christ has had enormous effect on this planet. And it's not just about here I am now, and we call this a second coming. I have been here all along, but this is an externalization. That's different. Externalization means that I could step out of the hierarchy once having been protected by the hierarchy. I find myself in it and I stay in it, and then I step out and say, okay, put me back into regular society and I'll find my way back. And that happened in this life. So they had to find me telepathically, find my address, my mother, my father, and this is what happened.